Welcome to one of, if not the most iconic race circuit in Formula 2. A track with absolutely no room for error, a track that requires every bit of skill these young drivers can muster. We're getting ready for lights out here in Monte Carlo. The Circuit de Monaco is, for all practical purposes, pretty much unchanged since its 1929 introduction. It's strange to consider, but this 2.1-mile lap will take the drivers here around almost an entire country. 19 corners, but not that many opportunities for overtaking. Instead, this is a track that rewards technical skill. I'm Alex Jakes, and I'm joined once again by the GP2 champion, Davide Valsecchi. Davide, today's race takes place on one of the most infamous street circuits in motorsport. What is it about this track that makes it stand out?
Alex, I'm very happy to be here. Monaco is a short track, but the wall is just after the white line. The drivers need to stay aware from the line and from the wall. And it's so important to start in the first two rows if you want to compete for the victory.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out. We are almost ready to start the Formula 2 race as the cars take their positions on the grid, the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Now the drivers finally get to play champagne in traditional style. Preparing for city streets for the Grand Prix takes 6 weeks, and another 3 weeks to dismantle. Pretty impressive considering the Singapore Grand Prix takes 4 months to prepare, so they should be starting about now. Despite being a notoriously tricky track for overtaking, this race has been won from as low as 4 seats on the grid.
All right, let's focus now for the rest of the race.
great manoeuvre. You made it look so easy. Okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of the race on these tyres. Gap to your teammate behind is 9.4 seconds. Final lap, final lap. Push, push. Top job, mate, top job, yes! I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but man, you pulled through. Thank you, well done.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for ART today. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
An amazing race today, and a very well-deserved one too. The team worked very hard to get exactly the right setup out of the F2 car that works for them, and the results speak for themselves. ARTGP winners today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Serfico increases their championship lead. And now, Davide Valsecchi, let me ask you, who is your driver of the day?
My driver of the day was Theo Purcher. He did a cracking job moving through the field. Just a very good race.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Teams' Championship. Trident moved further ahead at the top of the standings. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from ART this time out, and they improved their position in the championship. After all this drama, you would be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.